Welcome to the Boise State Esports Arena. Tonight you join us for Week 5 of PEC Esports action. Right now, Boise State is gearing up to go up against USC in the Rocket League match tonight, Monday. Seeing how it's also Monday in the beginning of the week, we wanted to get you another one of our PEC weekly shows with experts from all around the country to get a pulse on what is going on between all of the teams in the PEC and their thoughts toward Vegas as we enter the latter half of the season. I've got Grayson joining us from Michigan State and Jack Blink-Dumas from USC to give their takes on where their team stands and their overall view of the PEC playing field. Grayson, I'm going to start with you. If there's one thing I would think of for Michigan State, a phrase to describe your team, it would be the grass is always greener. Not just because, obviously your university has a green color, but you have quite a record going on behind yourself. So much so that I'm hearing that a perfect season is quickly becoming a goal that Michigan State might be fighting for.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show again. It's my second time. I had a great time last time. And yeah, definitely a perfect season is within view. But for us, the way we define success for the season is going to be coming in that postseason over in April. So if we're able to do that with a clean sweep, so be it. But we're going to have some challenging matches here in the next couple of weeks that will, give us a good run for our money going into the postseason.
And just give us a quick overview of those challenging matches that you mentioned here. What are the teams that you have yet to go up against? Who are you facing this week? And what are your hopes? How good are you feeling about this week's matches?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 3 matches over the next 2 weeks. So for this week, we play Nebraska, who finished second in the fall season, and they're definitely in that battle for second as well. The other team that's in that battle for second is Ohio State, who we're playing as well. And then third, we're running out our season with Syracuse. So all challenging teams, Syracuse in particular, took us to a last stock in the fall season. So definitely between Nebraska, Ohio State, and Syracuse, we have our work cut out for us.
All right, so Blink, I have to ask you, big week for USC. You're facing off against Boise State this week and across all of the games in the PEC. I wanted to ask you, let's do a hypothetical and say USC manages to sweep it all against Boise State. Rocket League, Overwatch, Valorant, Smash Bros. Based on where USC is sitting in right now in the PEC rankings, what would that do for the team as a whole, momentum-wise, morale-wise, any angle you want to take it?
Yeah, well, I hate to break it to you, Jason, but it's already happening. We've already, not less than an hour ago, I was casting our Valorant match, and USC was able to take it 2-0. Winning maps on Split as well as Haven. So that's what I've been watching most closely due to casting, but our USC varsity Valorant roster is sitting at a 3-2 in the PEC, which is looking pretty good. This games, Overwatch is looking strong. They had a convincing 2-0 win against Ohio last week. That's why 2 of the teams that Grayson mentioned we've already had to face in the PEC. So a lot of our tougher matchups in these games have kind of been front-loaded in this season. And that win that I got to catch kind of the latter half of for Overwatch is enough for me to be convinced we could have a good chance heading in against Boise this week. As far as Smash Bros goes, USC is off to a rocky start, but with some new additions this semester, we have a pretty strong, talented lineup. And I think a lot of our matchup this Thursday will depend on who makes attendance on both sides.
Well, I would razz you more for calling me Jason, but as you also said, you picked up the W in today's game. So you know what? I'm going to let that be the final word on that. So you can say whatever you want. Meanwhile, Grayson, give us a view as the head Smash coach for Michigan State. You see a very interesting battle for second place sort of happening in Smash Bros right now. And if it's a very tight battle for second place, then I want you to give an award for the one team you see as most improved coming through this spring semester, someone who could really wow us in Vegas if they continue improving at the rate they have.
Okay. Well, off of that, I'm going to have to go with Boise State. And it's not just because you guys invite me on your guys' show. You guys have shown, honestly, I'm definitely a believer. With the addition of Mata this season, The Broncos have been showing a lot more consistency, especially being able to translate a lot of these close matches into some W's. So I'm curious to see how you guys handle the rest of your season. But I think I'm going to call it early on most improved. It's going to go over to you guys. But as far as the battle for second place, I kind of alluded to it before. For me, it's between Nebraska and Ohio State. Now we did see Ohio State beat Nebraska last week, so both teams are currently sitting at an identical 7-2 record, and 1-1 head-to-head split. And it's going to be kind of a dramatic finish. So both, like I said, both Nebraska and Ohio State are going to be going up against, me or Michigan State, and then Nebraska faces Syracuse, and then Ohio State plays Boise State. So both teams will be facing, will be taking us on, so they could potentially hand us our first loss while simultaneously claiming second place. So I think it's going to be a race to the finish for both Nebraska and Ohio State.
Blink, as far as Smash Bros go, you're currently trying to, stay out of last against Oklahoma. And if the team doesn't manage to really recover throughout this spring semester, all teams still are going to be going to Vegas, but of course how they perform is going to affect seeding, and you don't want to be seeded too low. Let's say that USC doesn't have the best finish toward their season. What specific advice are you giving the players of USC going into Vegas on how to turn it around?
Sure. For Smash Bros, I think USC could have had a stronger spring semester so far, but the team's feeling a lot more competitive than they did in the fall. Losses are close calls, and we're giving some stronger universities a run for their money. My biggest piece of advice as far as our mentality goes is to just keep working for it. I think with a little more practice, we have, like I said, some talented players looking to kind of find some cohesion as we build up for a big finish this season.
Now, Grayson, I got to ask you, your matches this week are against Syracuse, another big name that's kind of been looming over the PEC. But based on how they've performed throughout this semester, especially in Smash, we have seen kind of a little bit of a fall of what was expected of Syracuse. What is your pulse, since your team is going up against them this week, what is your pulse on what they've struggled with, and what things do they need to iron out in order to turn things around?
Yeah, well, I'm not in the room with the team, so I'm not sure if for Syracuse, if it's any kind of, mental thing with closing out games or closing out sets. But as we start to look ahead into the final stretch of the season, and then we have a long stretch of time, about a month of prep going into the playoffs. I would say for Syracuse, it's going to be up to trying new things. At least if I was in their shoes, they have a couple opportunities to play some of the toughest teams in the conference. So, I mean, their remaining schedule, they will be going up against Michigan State and Nebraska. So, they're going to be playing some really tough teams to round out the season. So, if I was on their team, I'd be looking, to seize momentum. I mean, like we saw in the fall, Syracuse did take Michigan State to last stock in one of their games, so they could definitely keep it competitive. So, I'd say going with the perspective of trying new things, so that you can try to glean something out of the remaining bit of the regular season. Maybe you can find something that can stick then for the playoffs come April.
All right, Blink, the final question that I have for tonight is USC could be a team that really surprised us in Vegas because of one little wild card variable that is thrown in. You are one of the universities in the PEC that is in the same time zone as Vegas. Boise State is 1 hour ahead in Mountain Time Zone, so there's a little bit of jet lag here. But the other university that we've been talking to tonight, Michigan State, is all the way over in the Eastern Time Zone, so they're going to be on a 3-hour differential when they're competing in Vegas. Do you think USC personally has what it takes to beat Michigan State if they're on 3 hours jet lag?
It's a great question, and I think jet lag is an interesting factor that I haven't given a lot of thought to. Sleep in general is definitely a fickle muse for most collegiate players, and I wouldn't be surprised if it had an effect on our matchups in Nevada. I think it'll be up to the other universities to kind of manage their own jet lag, and for us to definitely hit the ground running once our plan lands on that runway.
Well, we don't need to speculate too much because we have the spokesman from the other university right here with us. Grayson, what is your team going to be doing? Do you have a reply to that? How confident are you in Michigan State's traveling ability?
Well, I guess I'll say we'll see because fortunately our team will be traveling over to Hawaii for an invitational in March, about mid-March. So that'll give us a good pulse to see how we're able to quickly adjust to a large time zone difference. But all things, putting that aside, I'll say teams have surprised me in the past with their ability to bounce back with time zone changes. Like Blink said, they're college. A lot of them are college students, undergrad, or actually, I mean, they're all college students, right? Their sleep schedules are not great, just from what I know about them. So I wouldn't be surprised if it felt almost like a correction to a more normal schedule.
All right, well, we're going to leave it at that for this week. As I said, join us back here at Boise State Esports because we've got our Rocket League match coming up for Monday tonight. But I want to give one more thank you to Grayson and Blink for joining us this Monday. Thank you so much, and we wish you the best of luck in your matches this week. All right.
Is your IT setup held together by duct tape and hope? Don't worry, Alpine IT Group has your back. We handle on-site support, service desks, cloud management, office phone systems, mobile device management, and more. And the best part, we can fix things remotely, so you can concentrate on your clients. Call Alpine IT Group at 1-888-720-4769 or visit alpineitgroup.com today. Scaling success together and completely duct tape free.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
At Blue Ribbon Painting, we're proud to be a locally family-owned and operated business dedicated to bringing your vision to life. Whether it's freshening up your home with interior or exterior painting or tackling a commercial project, we've got you covered. When you choose Blue Ribbon Painting, you're not just hiring painters. You're getting a team that's committed to making your vision a reality. Call or text us at 208-369-2583 or visit us at blueribbonpainting.net. Your project deserves a blue ribbon finish.
Idaho Central Credit Union, looking after your daily balance. It's the end of a good day's work in Idaho. Time to punch out. Time to check in and catch up. Time to remind ourselves that what we work for isn't a paycheck. It's to make the good things we have even better. So here's to your good day's work. Idaho Central Credit Union. We believe money is a thing. It's not everything.